Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Good morning. I hope you are all well. Welcome to the ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum, ALPF 2021. I am Zai Mozani, Director of External Relations for KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific, and I will be your Master of Ceremonies for today. The ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum, or ALPF for short, is a high-level conference traditionally organized concurrently with the annual ASEAN Summit. The summit is a meeting of minds for government, business, civil societies, and thought leaders to discuss key trends, strategic challenges, and major issues implicating the Southeast Asian region. It enables participants to feel the pulse of ASEAN. This summit is organized jointly by KSI and the Economic Club of Kuala Lumpur, and the forum and the theme for this year is centered on rebuilding ASEAN towards sustainable recovery. The ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum will provide a timely opportunity for sharing of experience and insights and knowledge on major themes, namely rebuilding ASEAN post-pandemic challenges and opportunities, Southeast Asian market and investment opportunities in the new normal, digital transformation in ASEAN towards a digital ASEAN, how ASEAN can benefit from RCEP and CPTPP, responsible and sustainable business leadership. And these are the key themes that we'll be exploring for today. We want to thank our corporate partners, Malayan Banking Berhad, or Maybank, Kwok Brothers Siam Berhad, the Moy Group, IP88 Holdings Siam Berhad. So thank you to our corporate partners for making this happen. To kick off this morning, we have the welcome speech by two very esteemed speakers. The first will be by Dato Seri Muhammad Iqbal Router, Chairman of the Economic Club of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Seri Iqbal, I hope you're ready because the floor is now yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Your Excellency, Dato Sri Setia Haji Erywan bin Pehin, Dato Pekerma Jaya Haji Muhammad Yusof, Minister of Foreign Affairs II, Brunei Darussalam, and also the Chair of ASEAN for 2021. Your Excellency, Dato Nancy Shukri, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture Malaysia, and Your Excellency Pan Sorasak, Minister of Commerce Cambodia, and Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Michael Yeo, President of KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific. Your Excellencies, distinguished speakers and panelists, and esteemed participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. I'm extremely delighted to welcome all of you this morning at the opening session of the ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum, brought to you by KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific. I wish to thank Tan Sri Michael for the opportunity given to the Economic Club of Kuala Lumpur to co-host this forum this year. It is indeed a great privilege for us to do so. It is needless for me to say that the whole world is crisis-prone. Not only political upheavals mark the landscape, social unrest and climate change-induced environmental disasters are reported almost daily. While these calamities are known and continuing, the Corona-19 virus has taken a deadly toll on almost all countries since 2020. The exit route and recovery from the pandemic is still elusive, and ASEAN is no exception. Under these challenging circumstances, to grapple with the tasks of saving lives and livelihood, leadership becomes the critical factor for any country, or for that matter, any organization, to survive and sustain its existence. It is gratifying to note that ASEAN as a group or a bloc is united with the resolve to face the crisis and move on to rebuild ASEAN towards sustainable recovery, which is indeed the theme of today's forum. ASEAN in 1967, the year of its birth, and ASEAN today in 2021, with aspirations for 2025 goals, is visionary and its own way to meet the needs of the times. The times are indeed becoming more and more challenging. This desire is seen in the many meetings of the ministers and heads of states of the member countries of ASEAN. However, there is much to be desired in terms of execution. This has been one criticism always leveled against the leaders. Hopefully, the lessons from the pandemic and the recovery for sustainability will make ASEAN leaders realize the importance of partnership among the ASEAN nations to provide a more perceptive leadership to meet the challenges, particularly the challenges faced by the people of the respective countries. Such a partnership is indeed more required than ever before because of the developments in the South China Sea and very recently the Australia-United Kingdom, United States arrangement for nuclear submarines in the region. While on the one hand, the signing of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, the RCEP, augurs well for the economic benefit among the ASEAN countries and China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand. The AU-KUS arrangement sounds military perils in the ASEAN region. Such geopolitical postures are a threat to the ASEAN founding principles of ZOPAN, Zone of Peace, Freedom, and Neutrality. These are the external challenges faced by ASEAN. The domestic and national issues of each member states will no doubt dominate the politics and therefore the policies of the respective countries. At the same time, the leaders should continue to embrace the ASEAN agenda and forge partnerships in the common good of ASEAN as a group. The time is now for the leaders of ASEAN to rethink and reiterate the one vision, one identity, one community mantra to realize the aspirations of 2025. I'm very thankful to KSI for giving these opportunities to address at this inaugural session. And once again, I wish all the participants and also the panelists and other commentators a very successful ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum 2021. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dato Seri Iqbal Router, Chairman of Academic Club of Kuala Lumpur, for the insightful and very comprehensive speech in the beginning of this event. Now we will pass on to Tan Sri Michael Yeo, Founder and Chairman of the ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum, this particular forum, ALPF, and the President of KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific Malaysia. Tan Sri Michael, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Lion. Excellencies, Ministers, the Honorable Dr. Sri Shukri, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture Malaysia, Dr. Sri Iqbal, Chairman Economic Club of Kuala Lumpur, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to join Dr. Sri Iqbal in welcoming all of you to this ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum. We are meeting for the first time today, virtually, for the entire forum. And I think this is what the world is like now in a new normal. I must thank the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture for agreeing to give the opening keynote address this morning, where the Minister will be speaking on promoting tourism for ASEAN's economic recovery. And I think that is indeed a very important theme for ASEAN to focus on in building back better, to get a tourism bubble and to promote inter-regional tourism within the ASEAN countries. We hope also that in building back better, we would be able to focus and place priority on inclusive and sustainable growth, as well as on digital transformation and on green technology, because these are the areas that will enable us to build back better. ASEAN will need to also focus on achieving food security, health security, cyber security in moving forward, because these are areas that we need to look at. ASEAN faces a challenging period recovering from the pandemic, and hence we need to have the 3 C's: coordination, communication, and consultation. These are important to ensure we maintain ASEAN solidarity. For a long time, when we talk about ASEAN, we also place emphasis on the ASEAN 3 C's, and that is ASEAN centrality, the ASEAN community, as well as the need for ASEAN connectivity. So these are 3 C's that will also propel the future growth of ASEAN. Let me end my very brief welcoming remarks by announcing that at today's summit and forum, we'll be recognizing 2 outstanding individuals for their contribution to leadership and to growth in the region. And we would like to confer on them 2 outstanding ASEAN awards. One is to Dato Nora Manoff, the Group Chief Human Capital Officer of Maybank, who will be conferred the award for the ASEAN Woman Manager of the Year. This is an important award because as ASEAN moves forward, we need to ensure greater gender equality, to ensure and recognize the role and contribution of ASEAN women managers. And this award conferred on Dato Nora aptly describes her contribution as a leader and a woman manager, a woman banker in ASEAN. So congratulations, Dato Nora. The citation for your award will be read a little bit later after the ministerial speeches. The second person that I would like to honor is the conferment of our ASEAN Technology Entrepreneur Award on Mr. Chan Kok Lung, who is the founder and chief executive officer of iPay Holdings. And that's a company that is very much involved in digitalization and digital transformation in ASEAN. And again, moving forward for ASEAN, the digital journey is very crucial and important. So congratulations to these award winners. And I would like to end here and to welcome our Honorable Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Dato Sri Nancy Shukri.
The Honorable Dato Sri Setia Haji Erywan bin Pehin Datu Pekerma, Jaya, Haji Muhammad Yusof, Minister of Foreign Affairs to Brunei Darussalam, Chair of ASEAN 2021. Yang bahagia Tan Sri Michael Yeo, Founder and Chairman, ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum, President, KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific, Malaysia. Yang bahagia Datuk Sri Muhammad Iqbal Rautha, Chairman, Economic Club of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very, very good morning. It gives me a great pleasure to be here this morning as the guest of honor at the 2021 ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the Economic Club of Kuala Lumpur, or ECKL, and KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific for inviting me to deliver the keynote address at this forum. And I would like also to congratulate Dato Nora Abdul Manaf for the award being conferred as to her as ASEAN Women Manager of the Year Award, and Mr. Chan Kok Long on the ASEAN Technology Entrepreneur of the Year Award. Congratulations once again. Ladies and gentlemen, over the last decade, tourism has become one of the fastest growing economic sectors in the world, especially in producing economic and employment benefits in many related sectors. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has brought international tourism to a standstill from 2020. It is important to reflect on where ASEAN tourism sector is at the moment. All ASEAN countries have felt the socio-economic impact of COVID-19, whereby the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, reported a GDP reduction of 3.4% for the region for 2020. According to the World Travel and Tourism Council, or WTTC, in 2019, the tourism industry contributed 12.1% of Southeast Asia's GDP, equivalent to US 380 billion. For Malaysia, the loss of tourist expenditure in 2020 is at approximately 135 billion ringgit. With the implementation of MCO 3.0, the estimated losses are set to increase further to 165 billion ringgit in 2021. On the ground, the sector is facing over 12 months of little or no business and jobs lost. Tourism is more than just leisure, because it is also the provider of jobs and stable incomes, supporting 1 in every 4 jobs, particularly for destinations most reliant on tourism, remote areas, and semi or low-skilled labor. Currently, the travel and social restrictions still remain in place and virus containment efforts are still in force. There is, however, significant progress in terms of health indicators, economic response measures, and sector roadmaps. Whilst there are still locations with challenging situations health-wise and the borders are generally closed, the region is starting to reopen while the level of tourism operational activity is low. Before the borders reopen, it is important for us to be prepared with a recovery plan. The tourism sector has undoubtedly suffered severely due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, we need to re-strategize in order to gain a competitive edge for the tourism industry, particularly in the ASEAN region. This is because market insights predict that once borders are opened, the focus of tourists shall be on closer to home destinations. Hence, it is important for us to strengthen the cooperation among ASEAN countries in facilitating the ecosystem of international arrivals. Ladies and gentlemen, in the effort to facilitate the region's economic recovery and ensuring the survivability and sustainability of the industry players, it is essential for us to promote a safe reopening of the tourism sector and restore the confidence to travel. Moving forward, in the post-COVID-19 recovery plan for ASEAN tourism, there are several highlighted key areas of opportunity in the recovery plan that will help to recalibrate the tourism industry, including, firstly, embracing digital technology and innovative solutions to provide reliable and easily accessible information on ASEAN common health and safety requirements, visas, tests, quarantines, etc. And secondly, ensuring common health protocols for safety of travelers and host countries in order to attract regional tourism and promote safe destinations. Thirdly, communication and collaboration across countries sectors and public-private sector partnerships, which can further strengthen ASEAN's coordination in sharing knowledge, information, best practices, and lessons learned. Fourth, reinvention of tourism services and offers through opportunities that can be created by utilizing tourism assets of the region. Fifth, preparedness and resilience for future crises through tourism. For example, enabling contributions from international visitors and other donor sources which provide funds at the local level to support health infrastructure and vaccine delivery, etc. Sixth, enabling a sustainable and inclusive recovery. It requires work across the whole value chain, involving all stakeholders and a commitment to make tourism products and services more sustainable. For Malaysia, Langkawi is the pilot project for reopening of the tourism sector. The Langkawi domestic travel bubble has been a success since opening on 16 September 2021, with a total of 38,748 domestic tourist arrivals and 15.97 million ringgit tourism receipts recorded. And Malaysia targets 400,000 domestic tourist arrivals for Langkawi until December 2021. With the success of the Langkawi domestic travel bubble, Malaysia is now preparing to open Langkawi for international tourist arrivals soon. I heard just now Tan Sri talking about regional, the opening of inter-regional. So we are already preparing ourselves for international tourist arrivals as well. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope today's forum will give us opportunities for knowledge and idea exchanges to occur. Discussion on issues and challenges need to be carried out freely in order to enable us to face the challenges in tourism recovery in a more strategic, unified, and efficient manner in the ASEAN spirit. I am really looking forward to see the impact and outcome from this forum in further exploring potential collaborations and partnerships with the private sector, which can in turn help to promote tourism for ASEAN's economic revival. Well, let us work together under ASEAN on one vision spirit and one identity spirit and also one community spirit. So before I conclude, once again, I would like to congratulate the organizing committee for hosting this forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, the Honorable Dato Seri Hajah Nancy Shukri, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture Malaysia, for the opening address. I will do maybe a summary of those points after we've heard from the next speaker. But before that, I'd like to invite Tan Sri Makayo, President of KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific, to introduce the next speaker, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, second for Brunei, Darussalam. Tan Sri Makayo, please.
Excellency, Dato Sri Setia Haji Erywan, Minister of Foreign Affairs to Brunei, Darussalam, and the Chair of ASEAN 2021. It is indeed a very great honor, Excellency, for us to welcome you to the ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum today. This is the second time, Excellency, that you are addressing this ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum, the first time being last year. I must commend and congratulate you and your government for the successful achievement as the chairman of ASEAN 2021. Just a few days ago, you chaired the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting, and soon Brunei will be hosting the ASEAN Summit. And we look forward to the leadership of Brunei in leading ASEAN out of our current pandemic situation and preparing the groundwork for ASEAN's recovery. We are indeed very honored that your government has chosen as your theme for this year a very apt theme: we care and we prosper. And I think this would go a long way in helping shape ASEAN's recovery. The theme actually is we care, we prepare, we prosper. and I congratulate Brunei for adopting such a timely theme. So without any further ado, Excellency, it's my honor and pleasure to hand the floor over to you for your keynote address. Excellency.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. Let me first thank you, Tan Sri, Michael Yeo, for inviting me to this ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum. I extend my congratulations also to the KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific and Economic Club of Kuala Lumpur for convening this timely event. Last year, also let me extend my thanks to Dato Sri Muhammad Iqbal and Yang Berhormat Dato Sri Hajah Nancy Shukri for your warm words of welcome, and my congratulations also to the recipients of the ASEAN Distinguished Lifetime Achievements Awards. As Tan Sri Michael Yeo mentioned, last year I had the pleasure of delivering the special address. My emphasis then was on the role of the private sector in helping ASEAN ensure peace and stability. Today, I am happy once again to join such prominent regional business leaders and economic experts deliberating on rebuilding ASEAN towards a sustainable recovery. Every country in the region continues to face debilitating impacts of the COVID-19. In the past 2 years alone, we have seen widespread disruption in our way of life, economies, and healthcare systems. This has forced us to rethink our collective approach in responding to these challenges, not only in the present time, but also as we look to the future. Much of ASEAN's attention remains on recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic. Under the theme of We Care, We Prepare, We Prosper, Brunei Darussalam's chairmanship aims to harness the caring nature of our people, prepare ASEAN for the future, and prosper together as a unified region. We have seen progress being made in the ASEAN Comprehensive Recovery Framework and its implementation plan, which serves as a consolidated strategy for ASEAN to emerge more resilient and stronger from the COVID-19 pandemic. I encourage all stakeholders to continue advancing towards its timely and effective implementation, whilst taking into account the fast-changing complexities and impacts of the pandemic to our region. It is also important that we take concerted steps in realizing our shared goals in the ASEAN Community Blueprint 2025 and the development of the ASEAN Post-2025 vision. This includes our work to promote a more strategic and holistic coordinated approach across all the 3 community pillars, simply known as the ASEAN Shield, to be better prepared to address future emergencies and disasters and minimize disruptions to the people and to the economy. The COVID-19 pandemic is an unprecedented global health crisis. As part of the new normal, it is imperative that countries also look at new and unconventional ways to embrace this. The pandemic has provided us with abundant lessons to learn from and the urgent need to adapt. It has also presented us with prospects on how we can assist sectors that have been adversely impacted by the pandemic, supporting emerging industries that have grown as a result of it, and encourage services that will produce sustainable long-term economic growth for the region. Under the ASEAN Economic Community, Brunei Darussalam, as chair, has set out 13 priority economic deliverables this year, which are divided into 3 strategic thrusts. Firstly, focusing on various recovery efforts to help broaden and deepen regional cooperation. Developing a robust economic region, ASEAN must first make sure that the essential foundations are laid out for our economies to thrive in the post-pandemic era. ASEAN seeks to continue facilitating trade and people-to-people exchanges in order to support economic integration. This is why regional initiatives such as streamlining non-tariff measures and investment facilitation, providing a recovery plan for the ASEAN tourism sector, and launching of the possible ASEAN-Canada Free Trade Agreement negotiations are all so very important. We must not abandon what has already been built and instead leverage on existing platforms to further improve ASEAN's overall economic standing. ASEAN continues to pursue an outward-looking policy to deepen external linkages and contribute to the region's development and cooperation efforts. With the conferment of the ASEAN Dialogue Partnership status to the United Kingdom in August this year, it will lead to closer cooperation between ASEAN and the United Kingdom in areas of mutual interest. Recently, we have also seen the endorsement of the Joint Declaration on Economic Cooperation by the economic ministers. We therefore hope to carry out more practical steps to promote economic stability and recovery in the region soon. Secondly, strengthening ASEAN's resilience through digitalization in order to provide a safe, secure, and harmonized e-commerce and digital ecosystem. Amid the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen the adoption of digital technologies being accelerated in our economies and societies. It has further underscored the importance of embracing the fourth industrial revolution and unlock a myriad of opportunities for our people to explore. However, it has also exacerbated dangers in the digital realm and exposed us to threats that were not necessarily apparent before. Again, it highlights the need for us to constantly adapt and take on new challenges as they arise. This will help to build up ASEAN's resilience and make us better prepared for the future. Lastly, making sure that achieving inclusive economic growth are sustainable for the long-term benefit and development of the region. ASEAN is taking the necessary actions to protect our smaller businesses, as well as ensure sustainable energy transitions. The development of a regional framework for circular economy will guide ASEAN's work on sustainable development, support cross-pillar collaboration, and in coming up with ASEAN's post-2025 agenda. All this have been identified as key areas for recovery and long-term growth of the region. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in striving to support our regional economic infrastructure, we must first protect the engine of growth for many of these economies. This is our people. Since the start of this year, global vaccination efforts have been a key driver in giving societies the confidence to slowly reopen their economies. We must not continue to wait around and instead face the reality that the pandemic is here to stay. Vaccinating our population is therefore a gateway into being able to once again enjoy the life that we all experienced before the pandemic. Once protected, we can begin to open up our economies and reconnect the region by facilitating to the best extent possible the essential movement of people, including business travels and tourism. However, there is still much to be done. While it is reassuring to see that many countries in the region have embarked on extensive programs to vaccinate their population, we also see many who have yet to reap the same benefits. We must also not forget that overcoming a global crisis requires a global response. Upholding a collective approach where nobody is left behind has and will always be the ASEAN way. Therefore, I call on the need to step up vaccine cooperation and accelerate efforts to ensure equitable access to safe, effective, and affordable vaccines for all in a timely manner. ASEAN recognizes the importance of strengthening regional cooperation with external partners and international organizations to address the challenges of the pandemic. Only with this can we move toward a shared vision of comprehensive post-pandemic recovery and emerge stronger and more resilient for the future. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, during these hard times, we need to step up community building measures to ensure that the welfare of our people are protected both physically and mentally. There is no denying that the COVID-19 pandemic has devastatingly impacted our economies and livelihood. What is less visible, however, but equally as important, is the effect that the pandemic has had on the mental health and well-being of adults, youth, and children alike. Uncertainty amidst this pandemic has made fear and anxiety much more rampant. On top of this, people have also been confronted with the socio-economic fallout brought about by repeated lockdowns, restricted movements, loss of employment, misinformation, and increased social tensions. In this regard, ASEAN is working with regional partners to promote awareness and cooperation on this issue and looks forward to the adoption of the East Asia Summit Leader Statement on Mental Health Cooperation at the upcoming East Asia Summit. We must take early actions to address this issue. If we don't, we will see a mental health crisis that is far bigger than this pandemic in 10 to 15 years' time. Therefore, ensuring the health and well-being of our people is essential in determining our path to a sustainable economic recovery. To conclude, while ASEAN has made positive strides in laying the foundation for post-pandemic recovery, it cannot be denied that we have yet to face many more challenges in our journeys ahead. What remains certain in these times of uncertainty, however, will be our ability to constantly adapt and embrace new challenges so that we are better prepared for whatever challenges that may come to us in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, the Honorable Dato Seri Setia Haji Erywan bin Pehin Datuk Pekerma Jaya Haji Muhammad Yusof, Minister of Foreign Affairs number 2 from Brunei Darussalam, Chair of ASEAN 2021, for the speech, and thank you for making time with us this morning. Also, thank you again to the Honorable YB Dato Seri Hajah Nancy Shukri, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture Malaysia. Both of our esteemed speakers spoke about the need for coordination, collaboration, and contribution to regional development. And I found the speech by Minister of Foreign Affairs from Brunei to be very insightful. Minister spoke about the need for innovation, integration, resilience, recovery, sustainability, for ultimately success of the region. So thank you for both of our speakers for making time this morning out of your busy schedule to be with us this morning. And your participation makes our forum a very meaningful one as we strive towards regional integration and development for the betterment of all people, the 600 over million citizens of ASEAN. So thank you for your time. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we commence the ASEAN Distinguished Lifetime Achievement Awards. As mentioned by Tan Sri Michael, we are celebrating two special individuals for their contribution to regional development in ASEAN. First, the ASEAN Woman Manager of the Year Award is conferred on Dato Nora Abdul Manaf, Group Chief Human Capital Officer of Malayan Banking Berhad, or Maybank. And Dato Nora Manaf has a very impressive resume. So in addition to her role as the Group Chief Human Capital Officer of Maybank, she is the member of the Group Exco of Maybank. She chairs several national level committees and holds several board memberships. Dato Nora's board membership include the Board of Etika General Insurance Berhad and MBB Labs Private Limited Bangalore. Dato Nora is actively engaged in the country's financial institutions, employers, and education circles via the leadership roles she holds. Dato Nora is active in her quest to make a difference to empower women. She is the executive sponsor of Maybank's Women Mentor Council, established in 2013, as well as a mentor for the ICAW Talent Corp Women in Leadership Program. In 2016, Dato Nora was awarded the Beacon Light Award at the National Women in Leadership Summit organized by the Asian Strategy and Leadership Institute, ASLI, in partnership with the Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development. On 31st March 2021 this year, Dato Nora was conferred the Top 50 Impact Lifetime Achievement Awards for Women Excellence by KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific. I was there at the event, and Dato Nora was really well deserved for this accomplishment. So congratulations, Dato Nora. Let's give her a warm virtual applause from wherever you are. I know we cannot see you, but if you can, thank you so much for those for giving that applause. Now, the next one is the ASEAN Technology Entrepreneur of the Year Award, which is conferred on Mr. Chan Kok Long, co-founder and executive director of IP88 Holdings Siam Berhad. And I think many of you may have used IP88 before, the payment gateway, which is exceptionally brilliant. Mr. Chan Kok Long co-founded IP88 in the year 2006 and currently holds the position of executive director for both IP88 Holdings Siam Berhad, formerly known as IP88 Siam Berhad, and IP88 Malaysia Siam Berhad, formerly known as Mobile88.com Siam Berhad. As a visionary and forward-looking entrepreneur, Mr. Chan is a distinctive game changer of the e-commerce landscapes, both locally and regionally. With over 25 years experience, he leads thought-provoking conversations around the digital socio-economic scenes. Mr. Chan is an avid spokesperson and mentor to the industry players, customers, partners, and tertiary students. He is often spotted as a guest speaker in top media channels like BFM, Bloomberg, FIS, Axios events, sharing insights, trends, and key learnings for the advancement of the digital economy and its key drivers. In recognition for his contribution, Chan was named the Technopreneur Excellence Award presented by PCOM ICT Leadership Award PILA in 2016. He was also named as one of the top nominees for EY Entrepreneur Year 2016 under the Emerging Entrepreneur category. Mr. Chan is also a former advisor and e-commerce Malaysia deputy chair for PCOM. He is also a sought-after thought leader in the academia space and was appointed the adjunct professor at the National University of Malaysia. He also serves as a counsel of PayNet Advisory Forum. Mr. Chan is a British petroleum scholar who graduated with a second-class upper Bachelor of Mathematics Science with honours degree from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, UKM, in 1990. He's a graduate member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing, CIM, United Kingdom, and also holds a certificate diploma in accounting and finance from the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants UK. Mr. Chan embraces the work-life integration and he appreciates nature, enjoys the sun, sea, and sand. For leisure, Mr. Chan enjoys time spent in his garden, picking up a game or two of golf, wine and dine, and travels to enrich life experiences. So congratulations, Mr. Chan Kok Long, and let's give him a round of applause. The two awardees have extremely impressive resumes, and as you can see from their accomplishment, it took me a while to read their accomplishments because goes to show how well they truly deserve this award. So from wherever you're from, send your applause wherever you're from. So thank you again to our two awardees. Next up, we have a special address by His Excellency Miss Armida Salsiah Alisjahbana, Under Secretary General of the United Nations and Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia Pacific, for Asia and the Pacific, ESCAP. Let me say that again. Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, ESCAP. And we have this special address, which I will now hand over to Ms. Armida Salsiah Alisjahbana for the special address.
Dato Sri Muhammad Iqbal Rother, Chairman, Economic Club of Kuala Lumpur, Mr. Tan Sri Michael Yeo, Founder and Chairman, ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum and President, KSI Strategic Institute for the Asia Pacific, Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to express my gratitude for inviting me to deliver a special statement at this ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum, which focuses on 5 priority areas: rebuilding ASEAN after the pandemic, investment opportunities, digital transformation, regional agreements, and responsible and sustainable business leadership. The forum and its 5 priority topics are very timely as the COVID-19 pandemic has entered into its 2nd year. Countries are still grappling with a surge of cases due to new variants, adding up to a total number of more than 11.7 million cases to date in Southeast Asia alone, not to mention its devastating socio-economic impacts. It is clear that in our effort to come out of the pandemic, we need to have a recovery strategy which is more resilient to future shocks and crises. The ASEAN region needs to transform into an inclusive, resilient, and sustainable or green-blue economy to address 3 sets of policy challenges to building back better, namely, widen inequality gaps that threaten social cohesion and stability, structural disruption caused by the pandemic and post-pandemic transformation, and the impact of digitalization on economic opportunity and human capital formation. In this regard, allow me to suggest the following priority areas for an inclusive, resilient, and sustainable recovery. First, to recover better together and to address the widening inequality gap, we need to build more inclusive societies by ensuring continuity in fiscal and financial support for vulnerable groups and hardest hit businesses until there is a robust recovery, promoting an employment-led recovery, and closing social protection coverage gaps. Second, to create more resilient economies and be better prepared for future crises, we need to ensure that countries in the region are prepared for climate disaster health emergencies, creating more resilient regional supply chain, ensuring conducive trade and investment for recovery, and investing in strategic industries and infrastructure. Last, we need to harness the power of digitalization by promoting digitalization processes and scaling up the digital-based economy. There is an urgent need to digitalize services related to health, education, and government services. This will form the basis of a digitally connected economy with government and social services. Beyond digital connectivity, the Framework Agreement on Facilitation of Cross-Border Paperless Trade in Asia and the Pacific, if ratified by ASEAN member states, will benefit them in their transactions among parties to regional trade agreements such as the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership or RCEP. Additionally, we need to build green and blue economies. Long-term environmental sustainability must be embedded in the COVID-19 policy response, as well as incorporated into consumption behaviors and responsible business investment processes, practices, and analysis. We must utilize innovative financing tools, including green and SDG-linked bonds, as instruments to address post-COVID-19 financing needs while advancing official development assistance in South-South and triangular cooperation. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the multifaceted nature of the problem means that all stakeholders, including the private sector, civil society, and academia, have a vital role to play. This forum provides a timely opportunity for all stakeholders to discuss priority policy areas and share lessons and insights on recovery strategies. Through policy choices and priorities, member states are in a position to implement innovative strategies to recover from this ongoing crisis and ensure that no person or country is left behind. ASEAN's leadership is needed more than ever in building forward better. ESCAP, along with UN system, stands ready to continue and deepen collaboration with all relevant stakeholders in all member states through cooperation and partnership to build our nations back better in the post-COVID-19 era. I wish you a very successful forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to His Excellency Ms. Armida Salsiah Alisjahbana, Under Secretary General of United Nations and Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, ESCAP. Now we have another special address, but before we go to that, I want to invite Tan Sri Michael Yeo, President of the KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific, to introduce the next speaker. So Tan Sri, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Mr. Pehin Sorasak, Minister of Commerce of Cambodia, we are delighted to have Excellency Pehin Sorasak, who will be the incoming chair of the ASEAN Economic Council for next year, to give us a special address this morning. Excellency Pehin Sorasak has been a very good friend of ours for a long time and has been speaking and participating in our ASEAN Leadership Forum for over 10 years, including the last forum we held in Bangkok, and also when we held the forum when Cambodia last chaired ASEAN almost 10 years ago. And we look forward to bringing this forum to Phnom Penh next year when Cambodia next chairs ASEAN. It's my great honor and pleasure to introduce His Excellency Pehin Sorasak, Minister of Commerce of Cambodia.
Dato Seri Muhammad Iqbal, or rather, Chairman of the Economic Club of Kuala Lumpur, Tan Sri Michael Yeo, Founder and Chairman of ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum, and President of KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. Today, I'm honored to attend and deliver a special address to ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum. This year's forum is timely, organized, and highly relevant as ASEAN is still fighting with the COVID-19 pandemic. At the outset, I would like to express my profound appreciations to Tan Sri Dr. Michael Yeo, Founder and Chairman of ASEAN Leadership and Partnership Forum and President of the KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific, for inviting me to deliver a special address with other fellow ministers, business representatives, academia, think tank, as well as civil society to discuss how we can rebuild ASEAN toward sustainable recovery in the aftermath of COVID-19 and the way forward. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this year marks the second year after COVID-19 was officially declared the pandemic. Many people hoped that by this point, COVID-19 would be gone and we would be able to return to our normal lives. Unfortunately, not. 2020 is still approaching, yet we are still fighting with this. Since 2020, COVID-19 pandemic has been posing serious challenge for all of us, as it is constantly changing through mutation, resulting in numerous variants being emerged, including the dominant variants Delta, as well as Mu variant recently. This has added socio-economic pressures to many countries around the world, including ASEAN. According to the ASEAN Development Bank's outlook for September 2021, the economic growth is bounced back gradually, with the ASEAN GDP's growth rate is at 3.1%, down from 4.1% in April in the same year. This highlights the need for a cohesive and collective response from all ASEAN member states in order to fully recover from economic downturn and become more resilient in the future. In this regard, I would like to share with all of you the following points. Firstly, while regional cooperation and commitments to multilateralism are key to economic revival, I'm of the view that priority should be focused on the COVID-19 vaccinations. The economic recovery pace hinges on the vaccinations, and this is true for all countries. For her part, Cambodia has been actively implementing the national COVID-19 vaccination campaign as part of the nation's ongoing economic recovery efforts and has achieved remarkable progress through the flowers blossom approach, starting in the capital city and provincial cities, expanding and radiated step by step to other regions, aiming at creating socio-economic immunity by 2021. At the current state, we have vaccinated more than 85% of total population of 16 million, in which we have reached 95% at targeted 2 million adolescents aged 12 to under 18, and 80% of targeted 2 million children aged 6 to 12. This led to government's decisions to reopen universities and schools. Secondly, as part of the government's master plan of COVID-19 response to strengthen the health systems, to protect poor and vulnerable groups, and stimulate the economy, the Royal Government of Cambodia has issued several rounds of stimulus measures which aim to reduce the socio-economic impact caused by the pandemic, as well as reduce transmission rates, support business recovery through wage subsidies and tax exemptions initiative, and support poor households and vulnerable families through cash support programs. Thirdly, we have talked a lot about going digital and how technology will shape the future economy for quite some time. This is true as COVID-19 has transformed the way we do business, and now people are willing to engage in digital transactions more than ever. In order for ASEAN to emerge stronger, technology infrastructure should be enhanced and readily accessible. As we all know, business such as micro, small, medium enterprises, MSMEs, still rely on labor and manual tools for production. Hence, having access to and adopting emerging technologies enable business and private sectors to stay open and operate even during pandemics, thus integrating themselves into the value chain and moving toward a brighter future. More funds and capital mobilization should also be allocated to startups as well as MSMEs to support them so that they can thrive and contribute to economic recovery, especially during this challenging time. This, however, requires a concerted effort armed with business-friendly policies and support from the governments of the member countries to make that happen. Fourthly, rebuilding ASEAN towards sustainable recovery will also take time and requires collective efforts from member states. We should start by translating of initiatives such as the ASEAN Comprehensive Recovery Framework, as well as the recently adopted Banda Seri Bangawan declarations on ASEAN shield into actions. These initiatives will transform ASEAN into a more resilient region with stronger healthcare systems and thriving economy, and ensure that ASEAN could respond timely and effectively to mitigate the impacts of any emergencies and disasters affecting the regions, while we are focusing on digitalizations and advancing toward a more sustainable future. Lastly, as you all may already be aware, next year, Cambodia will assume the role of ASEAN chairmanship for the third time. During the chairmanship year in 2022, Cambodia will endeavor to promote an action-oriented approach that is based on openness, honesty, good faith, solidarity, and harmony within ASEAN to effectively address the common challenges facing our region. More importantly, with the support and strong solidarity of ASEAN member states and its external partners, Cambodia will seek to ensure tangible benefits for the people across the whole region without leaving anyone behind. For ASEAN Economic Community pillar, we will consider priorities that will contribute to the national and regional efforts to restore social economy during and in the post-era of COVID-19 pandemic. We will also seek to make ASEAN as a region of critical importance for global trade, investment, and supply chain through maximum benefit from the existing free trade agreements and recently signed Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I would like to end my special address by expressing my appreciations to KSI and Economic Club of Kuala Lumpur for organizing this important forum. I hope that my insight will contribute to discussions to address the challenges and way forward to build a stronger and more resilient ASEAN. I wish the forum a fruitful deliberations and look forward to joining the forum again in person. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you to His Excellency Mr. Pan Sorasak, Minister of Commerce, Cambodia, for the remarks. I believe that the previous two special addresses by His Excellency Miss Armida Salsiah Alisjahbana and also His Excellency Pan Sorasak were very interesting in the sense of putting the crisis into context and focusing on the need for coordination and collaboration between member states in ASEAN and also the countries in Asia Pacific to make sure that we can build back better in the post-pandemic era. So thank you again for the two esteemed speakers for their time, making time for this forum. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some break time before we commence the session one. So session one will be on rebuilding ASEAN post-pandemic challenges and opportunities. We will commence that session at 10:30 a.m. Malaysia time. So if that's 5 minutes from now, so let's take a quick break and we'll see you back here in 5 minutes time at 10:30 a.m. GMT +8 Malaysia time. So we'll see you back here in 5 minutes.